silenced at the altar. The day my pastor called me a liar and the truth burned his pulpit down. The day my faith was publicly buried. The sanctuary smelled like polished wood and cheap perfume the day my life split in two. I stood in the aisle shaking, clutching a folder so tightly the edges cut into my palms. 3,000 eyes watched me walk toward the pulpit, the same pulpit where I had sung solos, taught children's Bible classes, and prayed for strangers until my knees bruised. "Pastor Williams," I said, my voice trembling but loud enough to echo. "I need to speak with you.
Now."
He looked down at me with a smile that felt like ice. "Elena, this isn't the time." "It is," I whispered. "You know what happened." The sanctuary shifted. Murmurs. Confusion. Then he leaned into the microphone. "This young woman," he said calmly, "has been spreading false accusations against church leadership." My stomach dropped. "She claims misconduct that never occurred. We've tried to counsel her, but she refuses correction."
Gasps.
Heads turning. Judgment blooming in real time. "I am not lying," I said, but my voice came out small, fragile. He shook his head with theatrical sadness. "We will pray for your healing." Security appeared beside me. Hands on my arms. The folder fell open. Papers spilled across the carpet like wounded birds. No one bent to help me. As they escorted me out, I heard someone whisper behind me, "Attention seeker."
The doors closed.
And just like that, my church buried me alive. What none of them knew was that my folder didn't contain accusations. It contained proof. Before I continue, please subscribe to my channel to see more interesting stories. Thank you. The phone call that started everything. 3 weeks earlier, my faith had still been intact. I was driving home from work through pouring rain when my phone rang. It was Clara Bennett, the church's finance secretary. A quiet woman who always wore cardigans and smelled like lavender. Her voice was shaking.
"Elena."
I don't know who else to call. I pulled over immediately. "What's wrong?" There was a long silence, then a whisper. "I found something in the accounts. Money, a lot of money. Missing." My pulse quickened. Missing how? Transferred to private accounts. Not church expenses. Not charity. Personal. My mind immediately resisted the implication. That can't be right. "I thought so too," she said. Until I saw the authorization signatures. "Whose?" Another pause. "Pastor Williams." Thunder cracked overhead. "He said it's for a special project, but there's no documentation."
"Elena."
"I think something is very wrong." I felt a strange coldness spread through my chest. "Why are you telling me?" "Because you're the only one he trusts who won't ignore this, and the only one brave enough to question him."
"Brave."
"Or foolish. What do you want me to do?" I asked quietly. "I need someone to witness this before I go to the board." I should have said no. I should have hung up. Instead, I whispered the sentence that destroyed my life. "I'll come tonight." The locked office. The church looked different at night. Empty. Hollow. Almost predatory. Clara let me in through the side entrance, her hands trembling so badly she dropped her keys twice. "Are you sure we won't get in trouble?" she whispered. "We're not doing anything wrong," I said. Though my stomach churned. Her office door clicked shut behind us. She pulled a stack of files from her desk and spread them out like evidence in a crime drama. Bank statements. Transfer confirmations. Account numbers. Large, repeated withdrawals. My eyes widened. This can't be personal spending." "It gets worse," she said quietly, opening another folder. Inside were property records. Luxury real estate in Florida, Colorado, Arizona, all purchased under shell companies. Beneficiary. Pastor Daniel Williams. My hands went numb. "But he lives in a modest house," I said weakly. Clara met my eyes. "Does he?" Before I could answer, a noise echoed in the hallway. Footsteps.
Slow.
Deliberate. Clara's face drained of color. No one else should be here. The doorknob rattled.
Locked.
Then a familiar voice came through the wood. "Clara, I know you're inside." My heart stopped. Pastor Williams. The smile that wasn't holy. Clara froze like prey sensing a predator. Don't open it, I mouthed. But Pastor Williams spoke again, his tone calm, almost amused. You forgot to disable the hallway cameras. Clara gasped. We're not doing anything wrong, I whispered, though fear was clawing at my spine. The door unlocked from the outside. He stepped in slowly, closing it behind him.
No anger. No surprise.
Just that same gentle smile he used on Sundays. Elena, he said warmly. I didn't expect to see you here. My voice shook. We were reviewing financial records. Yes, he said softly. I know. His eyes moved to the files spread across the desk. Then back to us. Curiosity can be dangerous, he added. Clara's voice cracked. We need an explanation. He sighed, as if deeply disappointed. These matters are above your understanding. They involve church funds, I said, forcing steel into my tone. His smile disappeared. And you believe it's your place to question me? Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. Then he stepped closer, lowering his voice. You should put those back. Tonight never happened. Something inside me snapped.
No.
The word surprised even me. His eyes hardened. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a warning. The offer. Pastor Williams folded his hands behind his back like a disappointed father. Elena, he said gently, you have a bright future here. Don't ruin it. My chest tightened. By telling the truth? He tilted his head. By misunderstanding it. Clara was trembling beside me. We can go to the board, she whispered. He chuckled softly. The board answers to me. The room seemed to shrink. You're threatening us, I said. No, he replied calmly. I'm protecting you. From what? I wanted to scream. Instead, he stepped closer, lowering his voice to a near whisper. People who cause division in the church often find themselves isolated. My skin prickled. Your friends will pull away. Opportunities disappear. Rumors spread. Clara let out a quiet sob. And if that fails, he added, there are always legal consequences for defamation. Fear flooded me, thick, paralyzing. But beneath it, something else ignited. Anger. You can't silence us, I said. He studied me for a long moment, then he smiled again, not kind, not holy. Predatory. Watch me. He turned and walked out, leaving the door open behind him like a challenge. Clara sank into her chair, shaking. What do we do now? I stared at the evidence on the desk. We expose him. I didn't know then that within weeks, he would destroy my reputation, my faith, and my entire life. And that one day he would stand in front of me again, begging. Character assassination. The rumors started quietly. A missed call here. An unanswered message there. Invitations that suddenly stopped coming. People at church who once hugged me now offered stiff nods. Or worse, avoided eye contact entirely. Within days, I understood why. She's been acting unstable. I heard she's under a lot of stress. Something about financial issues.
Lies.
Soft, polite lies designed to sound compassionate. By Sunday, the narrative had hardened into something uglier. She accused Pastor Williams of stealing. I sat in the back pew that morning, hands clenched so tightly my nails cut into my skin. Conversations stopped when I walked by. Mothers pulled their children closer. Friends stared at him books as if they had suddenly become fascinating literature. Then Clara stopped answering my calls. That terrified me most. I drove to her apartment after service, heart pounding. Her curtains were drawn, lights off. No response to my knocking. But a neighbor stepped outside. You're looking for Clara? Yes, is she okay? The woman hesitated. She moved out 2 days ago. Very suddenly. My stomach dropped. Moved where?
No idea.
But she looked scared.
Scared.
I stood in the hallway long after the neighbor went back inside, a sickening realization settling over me. He hadn't just silenced her. He had erased her. And I was next. The meeting. 2 elders asked to see me privately that week. Not at the church, at a quiet coffee shop across town. The choice of location made my pulse race. This wasn't pastoral care. This was damage control. They didn't order anything. Elena, one of them began gently, "We're concerned about you." "I'm concerned about church funds being stolen," I replied. They exchanged glances. "Pastor Williams explained the situation," the other said. "He believes you may be misinterpreting confidential financial activities." Confidential. The word felt like a slap. "I saw the transfers," I said. "Millions of dollars." The first elder leaned forward, voice lowering. "If you continue making these accusations, the church will have no choice but to pursue disciplinary action."
Disciplinary action.
Like I was a rebellious teenager. "You're protecting him," I said. "We're protecting the congregation." My throat tightened. From the truth. From me, apparently. Then came the final blow. "If you issue a public apology," the second elder said, "this can all go away. Apologize for telling the truth." My hands began to shake, but not from fear this time.
No.
The word fell like a stone between us. Their expressions hardened instantly. "Then you leave us no choice." As I walked out, I knew something irreversible had just happened. They weren't going to investigate. They were going to destroy me. The Sunday ambush. I almost didn't go to church that Sunday. Something in my gut screamed, not to. But stubborn hope dragged me there. The naive belief that truth would somehow prevail if I just showed up. I should have listened to my instincts. Halfway through the service, Pastor Williams paused mid-sermon. "There is a serious matter we must address as a family." My blood ran cold. He called my name. Every head turned. "Elena Brooks, please come forward." My legs moved before my brain could stop them. Years of obedience. Years of trust. I walked toward the stage like someone heading to their own execution. He rested a hand on my shoulder, a gesture that once felt fatherly. Now it felt like a clamp. "This young woman," he announced gently, "has made troubling accusations against church leadership." Gasps rippled through the sanctuary. "She claims financial misconduct, yet refuses correction or evidence to support her claims." "That's not true," I whispered. He squeezed my shoulder tighter. "We believe she is going through a personal crisis and ask the congregation to pray for her healing." The implication landed like a hammer. I wasn't a whistleblower. I was unstable, dangerous, a liar. And when security approached again, this time in front of everyone, no one protested. Not one person. Excommunication. The official letter arrived 2 days later. Certified mail.
Cold.
Legal. Final. Due to conduct unbecoming of a member. Spreading divisive falsehoods. Failure to submit to spiritual authority. My hands trembled as I read the final line. "You are hereby removed from fellowship." Removed from fellowship. Not just from a church. From my entire community. My phone buzzed constantly that day, not with support, but with accusations. "How could you do this? You should be ashamed. Repent." One message cut deeper than all the rest. It was from my best friend, Melissa. "I don't recognize who you've become." I dropped the phone like it had burned me. For the first time since this nightmare began, I broke. I sank to the floor of my apartment, sobbing until my chest hurt, until my throat was raw, until there was nothing left inside me but exhaustion and grief. Not for my reputation, not for my church membership, for the loss of belonging, for the realization that people I loved had chosen comfort over truth. That night, staring at the ceiling with swollen eyes, something inside me shifted. If they wanted to paint me as the villain, fine. I would stop begging to be believed. I would start gathering proof no one could ignore. The first ally. 3 weeks passed in silence. No church. No friends.
No Clara.
Just me, my anger, and a growing determination that refused to die. Then an unfamiliar number called. I almost didn't answer. "Is this Elena Brooks?" "Yes." "My name is Marcus Hale. I'm an investigative journalist." My heart skipped. "I believe you tried to report financial misconduct at your church." Ice flooded my veins. How do you know that? Because you're not the first. The room tilted. What do you mean? I've been tracking suspicious nonprofit transfers for months, he said. Your pastor's name keeps appearing. My hands began to shake. Do you have evidence? He asked. I looked at the folder on my table, the one I had salvaged after being thrown out of the sanctuary, the one I had nearly burned out of despair. Yes, I whispered. A pause. Then, Elena, if what you have checks out, this isn't just embezzlement. My pulse thundered in my ears. Then what is it? His voice dropped to a grave, almost disbelieving tone. It looks like money laundering. The air left my lungs. This wasn't just corruption. It was a crime big enough to destroy everything. Including him. The hidden pattern. Marcus Hale flew me to Chicago 2 days later. I hadn't been on a plane since before my life imploded. Sitting by the window, watching the clouds swallow the earth below, I felt like I was leaving behind the woman I used to be, the obedient church volunteer, the faithful believer, the person who thought goodness guaranteed protection. Marcus spread documents across a conference table in his office downtown. These transfers, he said, tapping highlighted lines, aren't random. I leaned closer. Account numbers.
Dates.
Identical amounts moved in cycles. Layering, he explained.
Classique laundering technique.
Money moves through multiple shell entities to obscure the source. My stomach twisted. Church donations. Likely. He pulled out another file. These shell companies purchase properties across multiple states. Luxury homes, resorts, land parcels. I flipped through photos of mansions in Miami, ski properties near Aspen, and desert estates outside Phoenix. It didn't look like ministry. It looked like empire building. Why would he risk this? I asked. Marcus met my eyes. Because people trusted him enough not to look. A chill crawled up my spine. This wasn't desperation. It was calculated. And then he slid one last document toward me. A list of donor names. High-profile ones. Corporate ones. Political ones. I stared at the page, realization dawning like a slow sunrise. If this went public, it wouldn't just ruin a pastor. It would expose everyone protecting him. Clara's message. I returned to my apartment to find an envelope taped to my door.
No stamp.
No return address. Just my name written in Clara's careful handwriting. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was a flash drive and a single sheet of paper.
I'm sorry.
I was scared. Please be careful. He knows more than you think. My chest tightened painfully. Clara was alive. I plugged the drive into my laptop, heart hammering. Folders appeared.
Audio recordings.
Scanned documents. Banked credentials. And one video file. I clicked it. The screen showed Pastor Williams sitting at a table in what looked like a private dining room. Across from him sat a man in an expensive suit I didn't recognize. The donations will continue as long as the arrangement remains discreet, the man said. Williams smiled. The church is an excellent conduit. People give more when they believe it's for God. My stomach lurched. Any risk of exposure? The man asked. Minimal, Williams replied calmly. Dissenters are easily discredited. Dissenters.
Like me.
Then he added something that made my blood freeze. And if necessary, they disappear. The video cut abruptly. I sat there in stunned silence, the room suddenly feeling too small, too quiet. Clara hadn't just uncovered financial crime. She had uncovered something dangerous. Something that explained why she ran. Something that explained why I should be terrified. But instead of fear, a cold clarity settled over me. If he thought intimidation would stop me, he had badly misjudged the woman he tried to bury. The smear campaign evolves. The attacks became uglier after that. Fake social media accounts appeared overnight, posting stories about me. Claims that I had stolen money, manipulated church members, even fabricated abuse allegations in the past. Strangers sent me messages filled with venom. You're evil. Leave that good man alone. You'll answer to God. I wanted to scream that God was exactly why I was doing this. Marcus wasn't surprised.
This is strategic, he said.
Discredit the accuser before evidence surfaces. He showed me articles published by obscure blogs portraying Pastor Williams as a victim of persecution, a righteous leader under attack by a mentally unstable former member. My hands trembled with rage. They're rewriting reality. That's what powerful people do, Marcus replied quietly. One post included my home address. That night, someone drove past my apartment repeatedly, headlights sweeping across my windows like searchlights. Sleep became impossible. Fear returned, not paralyzing this time, but sharpening. Because now I understood something crucial. He wasn't panicking. He was preparing for war. Marcus looked at me across the table. If we release this prematurely, he'll bury it. Then we don't release it prematurely, I said. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly.
Hey, Anna.
We build an airtight case. For the first time since the sanctuary doors slammed behind me, I felt something unexpected.
Control.
The missing witness. Marcus tracked down Clara's last known location to a small town outside Nashville. We drove there at dawn, tension humming between us. If Clara testified, everything would change. But her rented house sat dark and silent. No car.
No lights.
No movement.
My heart sank.
Marcus knocked anyway. Nothing. A neighbor watering her lawn glanced over. You looking for the woman who rented that place? Yes, I said quickly. Is she okay? The woman frowned. She left last week. Packed in a hurry. Did she say where she was going?
No.
But she hesitated. 2 men came by before she left.
Suits.
Didn't look friendly. Cold dread seeped into my bones. Marcus's jaw tightened. Did you catch their names? She shook her head. Government type, maybe. Or lawyers. Clara hadn't just disappeared. She'd been visited.
Warned.
Or worse. Back in the car, I stared at the empty house through the windshield. She was our strongest witness, I whispered. Marcus didn't start the engine. Maybe, he said carefully. But she already gave you something more valuable. I thought of the flash drive, the video, the threat. A realization settled over me like a storm cloud. Clara hadn't run to abandon the truth. She had run to survive long enough for me to expose it. The counter-move. 2 months after my humiliation, Pastor Williams announced a nationwide revival tour. Billboards appeared in multiple cities. Promotional videos flooded the internet. Donations poured in. He wasn't hiding.
He was expanding.
Marcus looked grim when he showed me the schedule. Public sympathy tour, he said. Frame himself as persecuted. One stop stood out. A massive conference in Dallas expected to draw tens of thousands. My pulse quickened. He'll be there in person?
Yes.
An idea began to form. Dangerous, reckless, but brilliant. What if the truth meets him on stage? I asked quietly. Marcus stared at me. You mean publicly? He destroyed me publicly, I said. Justice should be just as visible. Silence stretched between us. That's high risk, he warned. If we fail, he'll crush you permanently. I thought of the sanctuary, the whispers, the loneliness, the fear.
He had already crushed me.
Or so he thought. I'm not afraid anymore, I said. Marcus studied my face, searching for doubt. He didn't find any. Finally, he exhaled slowly. Then we do it right. As we began planning, a strange calm settled over me. Not rage, not panic. Purpose. For the first time since the day I was dragged out of church, I felt something close to peace. Because I knew this story wasn't ending with my disgrace. It was building toward something far bigger. Something explosive. Something that would make the entire country watch. Entering the lion's den. The convention center in Dallas looked less like a church event and more like a political rally. Massive banners hung from the building's glass facade. Revival for a nation. Pastor Williams' face smiled down at thousands of attendees streaming inside, hopeful, worshipful, unsuspecting. My chest tightened. These were good people. People like I used to be. Last chance to walk away, Marcus said quietly beside me. I shook my head. I didn't come this far to stay silent. We had credentials. Legitimate press access arranged through Marcus's network. Around my neck hung a badge that felt heavier than metal. Inside, the air vibrated with music and expectation. Hands lifted.
Voices sont.
Lights swept across the crowd like a concert. On stage, Pastor Williams stood bathed in golden light, arms raised, eyes closed as if heaven itself were whispering to him. Applause thundered when he began to speak. I stand before you today, he said solemnly, as a servant under attack. My stomach twisted. They tried to destroy me, he continued, voice thick with rehearsed emotion. But God vindicates the righteous. The crowd roared in agreement. No one knew the vindication was coming, just not the way he imagined. Marcus leaned toward me. Security is tight. We get one shot. My fingers closed around the flash drive in my pocket. My entire life had been dismantled in public. Now, the truth would be reborn the same way. The unexpected barrier. Our plan was simple. Wait until the Q&A segment, then submit evidence to the media pool monitoring live feeds. But simplicity never survives contact with power. As we approached the press area, a security officer stepped in front of us. I need to rescan your credentials. Marcus handed his badge over calmly. Mine followed, though my pulse hammered in my throat. The officer's expression shifted almost immediately. Ma'am, you'll need to come with me. Ice flooded my veins. Why? There's an issue with your clearance. Marcus stepped forward. She's with me. The officer's tone hardened. Sir, step aside. Around us, attendees began to notice. Whispers stirred like wind through tall grass. I knew this tactic. Isolate. Intimidate. Remove quietly. No, I said, louder than I intended. I'm staying. 2 more guards appeared. My hands began to shake, not from fear, but fury. Even here, even now, he was trying to erase me again. Then a voice cut through the tension.
She's press.
Let her through. A woman in a navy suit approached, flashing a higher-level badge. I'm with National Media Oversight, she said briskly. Unless you want a discrimination complaint, stand down. The guards hesitated, then stepped aside. I exhaled shakily. Marcus leaned close. We just got very lucky. But as we moved forward, a thought chilled me. That hadn't felt like luck. It had felt like someone was making sure I stayed. The speech that changed tone. Pastor Williams' message shifted midway through his sermon. Gone was the persecuted servant tone. In its place came righteous indignation. There are those, he declared, voice rising, who seek to tear down God's work through lies and deception. My skin prickled. This spirit of accusation, he continued, often comes from broken individuals who refuse healing.
Gasps.
Murmurs. Agreement rippling through the crowd. It was the same language he had used against me months earlier. Just amplified for thousands. Marcus glanced at me. He knows you're here. My heart slammed painfully.
How?
Before he could answer, Williams looked directly toward the press section. For one terrifying second, our eyes locked. And he smiled.
Not warmly.
Not kindly. Triumphantly. Today, he said slowly, we pray for those who accuse falsely, that they either repent or face divine justice. The words hit like a physical blow. It wasn't a sermon anymore. It was a warning. My breath came shallow and fast, but beneath the panic, something else surged. Defiance. Let him threaten. Let him posture. Because for the first time, I wasn't alone. And I wasn't powerless. The broadcast window. Marcus's phone buzzed. He read the message, then looked at me sharply. The network picked up the story. My pulse spiked. Already. They're monitoring this event live. If we release the files now, it goes national instantly. The magnitude hit me all at once. This wouldn't just expose him to his followers. It would expose him to everyone. My hands trembled as I plugged the flash drive into Marcus's laptop. Once this uploads, he said quietly, there's no going back. I thought of Clara, of the sanctuary, of the nights I cried until dawn. Good, I whispered.
He hit send.
A progress bar crawled across the screen. 10%, 32%, 61%. On stage, Pastor Williams raised his voice to a crescendo. Truth always prevails. 88%. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear anything else. 100%. Marcus exhaled. It's live. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a ripple spread through the audience as phones lit up one by one like stars igniting in darkness. Confused murmurs replaced cheers. Pastor Williams faltered mid-sentence. What is going on? Somewhere in the arena, someone shouted. Turn on the screens. The first crack. The giant projection screens flickered. At first, they showed the event feed, as usual. Then the image glitched.
Static.
A frozen frame of Pastor Williams' mid-speech. And then, the video from Clara's flash drive filled the screens. His face. His voice. The church is an excellent conduit. People give more when they believe it's for God. A collective gasp rolled through the arena like thunder. He froze on stage, eyes wide, color draining from his face. No, he whispered, not into the microphone, but to himself. The video continued. Dissenters are easily discredited. Murmurs turned into shouts. People stood. Some cried. Others stared in stunned silence. And then the final line played. And if necessary, they disappear. Chaos erupted. Security rushed toward the control booth. Staff shouted into radios. Attendees surged toward the exits or the stage. Pastor Williams stumbled backward, gripping the podium as if it were the only solid thing left in his world. For a brief moment, his eyes scanned the crowd wildly.
Searching.
Until they found me. Recognition hit like lightning. His mouth moved silently, forming one word.
You.
I didn't smile.
I didn't wave.
I just held his gaze, calm, unshaken, unafraid. Because the man who once called me a liar was now being judged by the only witness that mattered. His own voice. Thank you for listening to my story. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos. Thank you.